Oh, my phone is on. I turned it off because I was getting no service. Turn on. Okay. Let's just start.
Yay.
Yeah? This is a very small crowd. It's okay. Do you guys want to move up? No? You want to be able to sneak out? I won't be offended. No? No response from you guys.
This is where I was last time and I'm fine.
Alright, you guys are fine. Alright. It is exactly 6 o'clock. Okay. Hello, this is the Stephanie Sheh panel. I am Stephanie Sheh! This is like a general panel, so there's no nothing about anything special topic. We can go off topic. We can talk about anything. Although, I have a feeling that even when we do the Sailor Moon panels, it'll probably devolve into talking about pretty much anything, everything. Usually that's how things go at conventions. You guys are a small group. How many of you guys, this is your first Metrocon? Welcome. How many of you guys have been here 3 years or more? 5 years or more? 7 years or more? 10 years or more? Wow. Very cool. All right, I will give an introduction of myself, although it's pretty much in the program. I am a voice actor. Right now, currently, I am doing the redub of Sailor Moon Classic, as we like to call it, the stuff that was aired over around 20 years ago, you know? I was not voicing Usagi, just to be clear, 20 years ago. I'm voicing her now, and then also for Sailor Moon Crystal. Some of the other voices I've done are an anime, like my most well-known are like Hinata in Orihime and Bleach. Currently voicing Yui in Sword Art Online. I also voiced Yui in K-On! And Nui in Kill la Kill. Somebody pointed out, like, you were a Yui and a Nui. I was like, yes, I guess so. They also pointed out that in K, the anime, I voiced a character who was a cat named Neko, and who was obsessed with her master named Shiro. And then in Blue Exorcist, I also played a cat, but named Kuro, who was also obsessed with a master named Shiro. It's very strange. There's little themes going on there. I've voiced a lot of cats. I have not voiced many dogs. I don't think I've voiced any dogs. A lot of cat girls and cats and stuff like that. Ironically, I'm a dog person. If you follow me on Instagram, which is 2Sheh, the number 2, and then my last name, S-H-E-H, or me on Twitter, which is Stephanie Sheh, you will find a lot of posts about my dog. And food. Food and dog is mostly what I sometimes voice over. Sometimes a little thing about voiceover, but mostly about food and dogs. And then, let's see, what else? In terms of non-anime stuff, Eureka and Eureka 7, I'm trying to think what other stuff. Work on
Sonic Lost World?
Yes, that was kind of recently, I guess. I'm currently directing Gundam Origins, and I was Minerva/Audrey in Gundam Unicorn. I also produced those. I wrote scripts for Ernest and Celestine. I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, but if you guys haven't seen Ernest and Celestine, it's not an anime, it's a French animated film that we dubbed into English, and it has the voices of Forrest Whitaker, William Macy, Paul Giamatti, Mackenzie Foy. I don't know if you guys know who Mackenzie Foy is. She was filming Interstellar when we were working on, she's the daughter in Interstellar. She was also Bella's daughter in Twilight. And anyways, but I wrote the script for that. We were nominated for an Oscar, but we lost to Frozen, which is okay. I like Frozen. Frozen's a good movie. But yeah, it should be on like iTunes or, it's available online, and there's also a DVD Blu-ray, but if you guys get a chance, it's like a movie I really highly recommend. And I also wrote this, one of the writers for A Letter to Momo, which is also a really, really beautiful anime film. I also was the mom in that. For some non-anime EE stuff, I have been voicing Rebecca Chambers in Resident Evil for some time. And then I directed RE5 with Liam O'Brien, as well as Revelations, as well as, what was the one with all the water zombies? Oh no, that was Revelations, sorry. I did Revelations on my own, and then I did Dark Side Chronicles with Liam as well. I do voices in Monster High. It's Jennifer and Doolittle, and Ever After High, like Duchess and the Red Queen, I think it's the Red Queen. I'm also, I was in Legend of Korra as Julie. Yes. It's like one of my favorite jobs. Exactly. And then I had a very small part, 2 episodes in Miles from Tomorrowland. I don't know if you guys are watching that at Disney. And I'm Care Bear. I'm Sheh Bear, and not the old version, the newest version, the one that's all CG fur. You look really cute though. It's good CG. That used to be on the Hub, and then the second season Netflix picked it up. So it's actually kind of interesting. Netflix is, everyone talks about Netflix producing stuff, and they're always talking about Orange is the New Black or Bloodline and all these Daredevil and all that stuff. But they actually, I don't know if anyone's been watching Knights of Sidonia.
Yes.
Knights of Sidonia is totally a Netflix, that, the reason that exists, the reason there's a dub for that is because Netflix put money to pay to do that. Also, for those of you who have kids, the second season of Care Bears is also because of Netflix, So it's really cool. So I encourage you guys, if you want more of that kind of stuff, to watch it on Netflix, because then they'll see that there's an audience and they'll put more money towards something like that. Interesting fact too, I don't know if you guys have heard of Time of Eve. It was a series, a TV series, and then they ended up making it into a movie. They kind of compressed the story of this TV series into a movie. And it's a very cool anime based kind of in the future, where they have these robots that look like people. So I guess you call them kind of cyborgs or something. But they're household bots, and they're your housekeepers and your nannies and whatnot. And in the future there's a lot of robot discrimination. And there's this cafe where everybody in the cafe, so the robots have these data halos on top of their head, so you always know if it's a robot or not. And then in the cafe called Time of Eve, there's no discrimination between people and robots. So these 2 kids, this is the second time I've broken one of these things. Okay. They go to this cafe and they're who's real and who's a robot? Anyways, it's a very, very, very cool series. And they ended up releasing the movie in the United States, and because they got Kickstarter for it. And then, since they met their goal so quickly on Kickstarter, they asked, if we want to have another milestone setting, what do they call it?
Stretch goal?
Yes, they had a stretch goal for a dub. And so they said, okay, we'll have a stretch goal if you guys want it to be dubbed. And people totally invested more money, and so the movie ended up being dubbed. And I don't know where you would get it though, because I know that obviously if you support it on Kickstarter, you get your copy, but I don't know, I'm assuming you can also buy it somewhere, but it's called Time of Eve. And it's a really, really cool, super cool film. Robbie Damon favorited Metrocon 2015 opening ceremony soon. But it's over now. Oh well. He probably just had a break right now. He's back in his room. Anyways, those are some cool projects, to look forward to, or to kind of, think about, whatever. So I don't really have a huge plan format. Sorry. suddenly, after I turned my phone on and off, I now have data apparently, because now stuff is being pinged up. I'm very open to questions and stuff. How many of you people here are interested in doing voiceover or becoming a voice actor? Okay, that's actually not a lot. I mean, usually if I do a panel, like, many people raise their hand. So, you know, if you have questions about that, I would be more than happy to answer it. I'm gonna go through my story, my background of like how I got into the anime industry, so that, because my story is a little bit unique and not the normal way. Like, I always wanted to be an actor, and I also was an anime fan. So, and then a long time ago, I would watch, you know, when I was a new anime fan, I would watch stuff, and I would watch it, and I would be like, man, the dub is like not very good. So I would, and so whatever. Some people still think that. So to each their own opinion. But back then, I didn't think the dubs were very good, and I thought, wow, I think I wanted to be an actor, but I thought I could, like, if that is the quality of like the bar, I thought it was low enough that I thought, okay, shouldn't be that hard. Anyways, sorry. I make a joke out of it right now, but that's really what gave me the confidence to pursue it, I guess. But also, if you think about knowing what I know now about anime production, and also knowing what I know now about anime production before, how hard it was before because they didn't have the technology, it's way easy to be more forgiving. Several things. One, back in the day, there really wasn't as much communication with the Japan side. So like, you would get these shows, and you know, as producers and writers and directors would work on it, and like, if stuff doesn't make sense, they have no clue. Like, if the translation is, you know, kind of confusing or whatever, they don't know, there's nobody to ask. Nowadays, the Japanese companies and the US companies are better at communicating, and they work a little bit closer together. So there's more access to like figuring out what's going on, and Japan has more approvals of stuff. So that helps, you know. And then the other thing too is like, nowadays with recording, everything is digital. So if I'm voicing something for anime, the way that we do it is that we have to do it as we're watching the video, because it's already animated, so the mouth is already doing this. So you have a script, and then we can hear beeps, and it's 3 beeps, and it goes beep, 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 and then where the imaginary 4th beep would go is where you would start talking. And the script should be written for the right length of talking, you know? And so you watch it and you say it, and FYI, we don't get the scripts beforehand. So everything is like a cold read. Do you know what a cold read is? Yeah. So it just means you don't get to rehearse, you don't get to see it, you don't even get to read it through. You just have to kind of go off instinct and what you see right there. So it's always a cold read. And if I'm doing it and I'm matching it and stuff, and let's say like, I do like, the director thinks, oh yeah, I did a pretty good performance, but like, I'm like 5 frames too quick. You know, I start a little bit early, I think, so blah, 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 and he goes, closes after me, and it doesn't line up. Well, in the olden days, like, you just would have to do it again, or you just have to accept it, you know? Now, if it's close, if the timing is close, they can do things as, like, stretch it a little bit, or squeeze it a little bit, or let's say there's talking, and there's a pause, and then there's more talking, and maybe I didn't pause long enough, but the second half of the sentence is the right length. It's just I started too early, so it just needs to be cut and shifted to the right a little bit. Well, they can do all of those things so that they can get the best performance to put on that line. Well, back in the day, it wasn't digital. They actually had stopwatches. So each line, there was a timing. And also because it wasn't digital, if you wanted to read, like, the way that the tape works is like, if you imagine like the image is up here and the audio is up here, right? And then when you record it, you're actually recording onto the magnetic tape. So if it's not digital, it means each time you record it, you're recording over what you had before. And over what you had before. So as a director, you'd have to think, oh, that was really good, but if she does it again, will it be better? Because if it's not better, you only have the latest one. And so, and because of that too, you can't compare. Like nowadays, you're like, oh, I like that one. Let's try something different, you know? And they're like, all right, hold on, let me go back and play a few of the ones that we did to see which one is the best fit. Like you couldn't do that back in the day, you know? So like knowing all of this stuff, it's like I'm much more forgiving to other than just like, oh gosh, the old dubs sucked, you know what I mean? Like, because they worked under very different circumstances. It was so much harder, you know? Like, I don't think the dubs today would be as good if we had to do them in that situation, you know. So I go off on tangents. I went off on tangent. I forgot what I was talking about.
Well, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing?
Yes.
Especially
Very
considering,
informative.
Oh, it's an informative.
especially for somebody who plans to be a voice actor himself.
Right. Okay. So, anyways, what was I saying? Can't remember. Oh, I know. This is all about my story about how I wanted to be a voice actor. So yeah. So I thought, oh, it should be easy. Blah blah blah. And so, you know, I didn't go to school for acting. I went to school for communication studies, which is kind of still like you learn stuff that can be in the entertainment field, and so then after I graduated, I ended up taking a job in production as a producer to produce anime. So I took a job. The first 2 shows that we worked on were I'm Gonna Be an Angel and Footy Cootie. So doing producing, you do like everything. Like you have to hire a director, you hire the writer, you have to make sure the video materials are okay, you write a licensing agreement with Japan, you have to choose a vendor, like everything down to like, who are we gonna go with to make the actual DVD disc? Which company are we gonna go with to purchase the actual pieces? Who are we gonna go with the printing? Approving all of the graphic design, you know, what are we gonna put? Are we gonna have a booklet? How much is how many colors can we use? Can we do full color? Can we do however many color? Like, is it gonna come with an insert? Where are we gonna put the credits, you know? And then also going, after everything is dubbed, reviewing everything down, you know, after it's all recorded, like checking the mix. And the mix literally is like, you're sitting there listening to the final product and you're making decisions like, you know, when so-and-so goes into the house, I think it's a little bit too muffled, you know, because there's things that you don't think about, you know, like in mixing and the levels and stuff like that, or be like, I can't hear the dialogue, or the, you know, because the music is very loud here, can we pump up the dialogue, or like, or even to the point that like, I think I heard a click, like, sometimes when you record and you're not paying attention and like, an actor's like, blah, 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 they're talking with their hands, they go, and they hit the mic, and it gets recorded in there, and you're supposed to like, an editor's supposed to edit out all those noises and things like that, but sometimes you miss it, you know, like because it's a lot of work, you know, so sometimes you miss it, and then, you know, if there's music and effects, you don't always hear it, you know, and it's easier to miss editing out something like that when there's like music effects on top of it, and then in the mix session, you might be like, wait, go back, play that, what is that? Oh, is that a sound effect, or was that a click, or a thunk, or whatever that needs to be taken out, and things like that, so there's like a lot of different things that you do as a producer. So I took a job as a producer because I wanted to be in the industry making money, because as an actor, like, you still need to eat. And I didn't want to, you know, slave away at a job they thought would just make me tired and not necessarily further my career. And I thought if I have a job in the industry, maybe it will open opportunities. And so I was able to audition for the shows that I was working on, and that's how I got my start as an actor. I actually didn't get paid anything separately because I was on salary from the company, so they weren't paying me in addition to any additional money to voice act. It was just like lumped into my salary, I guess, which was not that much, but anyway. So that's how I got my start. So it's very different from other people, but the traditional way is you have to have a demo, and then reaching out to people, passing out your demos, and hopefully getting an audition, and then auditioning for stuff, and then, you know, if you book it, then working the job, and then helping to promote it, and stuff like that. So that's like my long story, longer, not exactly shorter, but I've written scripts, I've voice directed, I've produced, I've done casting, I've done a lot of different things in the industry, so if you guys have any questions about that, in addition to voiceover, please feel free to ask me. Yes, you over there.
I was gonna ask. I know you're a voice actor, but I'm studying computer animation. What would you recommend for someone that is just coming out of the field? Like, well, how would you recommend to get into that type of industry?
Oh, you mean for an animator?
Yeah.
That I have no idea. I'm sorry, I have no idea. I wish I knew. I'd say, are you at a school, like a?
Yeah. I'm close to graduation. I already have the demo reel and everything.
Did you ask your school?
Yeah, I already got an internship with Disney.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's just after that.
Yeah, congratulations. Wait, so does that mean, is there the internship out here?
No, it's in the one in It's either the one here or the one in California.
But I think they do more animation in California, right?
Yeah. But then you have the Imagineers program also. But for me, it's the animation studios in California.
Because the Imagineers is a little bit different. The program is a little different. And from the Imagineers that I've talked to, a lot of the stuff gets like, it's very rare that they get to work on new properties. A lot of it is kind of like reimagining something that's kind of already in existence.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's great that you're doing an internship. I think the main thing is like you want to meet as many people as possible, always be professional, and in the beginning, be up for any sort of like free work. As long as you can afford it yourself, and as long as it's working for you in your portfolio and stuff. And like now with social media too, like I'm sure you can post your stuff on Instagram, and maybe that'll make people see it.
Even DeviantArt also.
Yeah. I find DeviantArt though, like when I go on it, I find personally the quality of art really kind of all over the place.
Constantly fluctuating.
Yeah, so I don't think of DeviantArt as a place to go to for that, but I'm sure that there are other like communities that are even bigger and better and whatever. And I think it's great that you're like open to like asking somebody, because that's another thing too. I know when you get to like, if you're going to LA, there's various, I'm sure there'll be various like opportunities. I know that like there's, you're not a woman, but I know there's a social group that's called Women in Animation, and they'll do mixers and stuff like that. And then I know that in Burbank, there is a gallery called Center Stage Gallery, and they do a Wednesday sketch thing. So every Wednesday night, I think it's like $15, and they get a live model in, and you just plunk your $15 down, and the live model does a bunch of poses, and you just go there, and it's kind of just like a fun thing, but that's a great place to like meet other people. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people going there like to sketch, and a lot of people are in the animation field. You can talk to somebody, and it might be a good connection to have. They also have people there signing books all the time, and so if you go to one of those signings or one of those openings, I'm sure afterwards if you catch somebody and ask them some advice or questions or whatnot. So, there is an expo in Burbank once a year called CTN, and CTN does a lot of. I know there's opportunities to take meetings and get your portfolio seen, and they also have kind of like talks more geared toward animators, like what to do about how to get your whatever done.
There's also one in Miami called MIA Anime, which pretty much most of the big companies like Cartoon Network, people like Nickelodeon and all those other companies coming down there.
Right.
And I mean, even as an animator, I always try to take down their business cards and always try to stay in touch with them.
And if you want to stick to more animation for like television and film, you can, but there's also don't forget there's also a whole video game market that you can go to. So, yes, you over there in the middle. You.
What would you say would it be possible for any voice actor or voice actress to try and start a way of getting in there differently, just like yours? Let's say starting up a game and then say, okay, we need voices. Well, maybe I can try and put my voice on there and then get other people in there. do you think that there's different ways for other people to?
I think there's always a way. There's always, like, I think that you can always be creative. It's all about, like, getting seen and getting, you know, finding the most creative way. Like, finding whatever works for you, definitely. This is the reason why something like that can be more difficult. If you're gonna produce a game so that you can be in it, everyone always says, make your own stuff, make your own stuff. And I fully believe in making your own stuff, don't get me wrong. If you can't get the parts that you need, if you're not being seen, then make something so you can be seen. That is absolutely the best way. The thing is you still gotta make it then. And that's the part that's hard. So that means that you've gotta put the work in, you gotta find the people that are gonna help you out, you know, that are good and talented and willing to work for nothing, to work with you. So absolutely, that's a great thing to do. I think the stumbling block for a lot of people is just that it's a lot of work. And if you have a full-time job, and if you I can see in the front.
I have one question and it's two parts.
Okay.
How did you get into the Sailor Moon anime, and do you feel any pressure by doing Usagi? Because there were 3 previous Usagis before you.
So I auditioned for it, like everybody else. I think I auditioned for all of the Guardians, and then I got a call, or is it a call or an email? I don't remember now. From Jamie Simone saying that, asking me to come in for a callback. But I was in Hawaii, so I couldn't. And I was like, oh no. I was like, can you give me notes and I'll just redo it. I'll record it here. And he was like, no, don't worry about it. I was like, okay, great. It blew that. I don't know. I tried not to think about it. I was a little bit bummed, but I just tried not to think about it. And then before I came back, he said that, oh, we've decided to cast you in it. He didn't tell me what part, so I had no idea. So I was like, okay, cool. When I found out it was Usagi, I was kind of floored a little bit because, I mean, it's not that I haven't done leading lady type of roles. I have. I guess Orihime is kind of ingenue, but in general, like most of my career has not really been built on the leading lady kind of role, I feel like. I'm either like a tomboy or super shy. It's just not as like common for me. And personally, I don't identify myself as that type of actress. So it was very, I don't know, it was a little bit like, really? Oh, okay, cool. And I'm not a very emotional person. Like, I don't really I obviously, like, there's celebrities that I really love and stuff I get really excited about, but like, I don't really get that excited. Like, I get excited, like, I'm like me getting excited is going like, oh my God, it's like totally, that's really cool. Yeah, that's really cool. And then like, sometimes like, the bigger the deal it is, like the huger, the cooler it is, like the more calm I am. I don't know why, like it's just how I am. So like, I didn't really freak out, but like, I remember walking my dog probably like 4 months after I had already been recording. And I was like walking my dog, and I'm like, I'm just walking my dog. I was like, hey, I'm the voice of Sailor Moon. Like, I looked at my dog and I was like, my dog does not care. He has no clue. And then I was walking and I was like, looking at these like trees and grass, and I was like, the trees do not care. The grass does not care. And then I was like, I'm just walking, like nobody really knows that I'm Sailor Moon. Like people who had met me, like if they saw me on the street, they wouldn't know. I was like, this is weird. And then I was like, I am the voice of Sailor Moon. That's kind of a big deal. and then I thought, how did this happen? Is this a mistake? I feel like I'm living somebody else's life. This is really weird. That, like, literally like that, I was like having this like mental conversation in my head. So, and when I got cast to do that, like, I didn't really listen. I mean, I knew that other women had played her before, and I knew that it was 3 different women. So I was kind of like, well, I'm not gonna try to sound like them because they didn't even sound like each other. You You know what I mean? So it's like, well, that's the point. So I didn't try to really emulate that. I just kind of go off the Japanese and go off of like who I think the character is. I can't remember who had their hands up around here first, but okay. Yeah.
Okay. Like you said, you usually play more protagonist, shy, background characters. How was it playing Nui in Kill la Kill? That must have been a blast.
Oh, that's really fun. I love playing crazy characters. She's not the first crazy character I've played. I think like Penny and Zatch Bell was really crazy, and I played a lot of like dual voice characters, like Akira and Lucky Star is also like that, and even like Hade and Goo. There's like friendly Goo and unfriendly Goo is also like that. So, but it's I have a lot of fun. I like it. I love playing cute, sadistic. It's really fun, and her outfit is so cute. Love it.
But seriously, it's like, that's one of the best villains I've seen in a while. It's like, oh, it's so cute. Like, she's an evil bitch.
But she never flips to that kind of like, she doesn't get, like she's sadistic, but she doesn't ever go like, that kind of like, cat, like she doesn't do that like stringing you along thing. It's either like saying it in a super cute way and she's saying really effed up stuff, or she's like raging, you know? So it's interesting. You in the middle.
Speaking of cute and effed up, you played Ilya in Fate Stay Night.
Yes.
And then a few years later, you played her in Fate Zero.
Mm-hmm.
What was the most difficult part of reprising that role?
The most difficult part of reprising the role was when I did Phase Zero was I was sick. And the entire time I kept thinking, I don't think I sound young enough. I don't think I sing that young enough. And then I told Tony, I was like, are you sure? Because I'll come and do pickups for free. I don't want it to be bad. And he's like, no, it's fine. That was the hardest part. I think it's harder like going, like, it was a little bit, I just had to like clear out my mind because she was very different in Fate Zero than in Fate Stay Night, you know? So I kind of treated it the same voice, but almost like a different character because her personality was so different. So, yes, you over there.
I don't have a question, but I have a gift. Can I give it to you?
Okay, sure. What is it?
I have to open the box.
It's a box. What's in the box? What's in the
Definitely.
box? All right. Oh! It's a oh, you painted a ducky! It's Sailor Ducky!
Yes.
It's really cute. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What made you decide to paint a duck?
It's a thing that I do here. I'm kind of known for them. Just ask
You're
Scott
the duck
McNeil.
girl?
I'm the duck girl. Just ask Scott
Do
McNeil.
you love ducks?
Yes, because they're cheap and easy to paint.
Oh no, but I mean the animal.
Yes, they're adorable.
They're really cute.
I love chasing after them.
They're really cute. But do you know that, I probably shouldn't say it. Are there kids in here?
No.
R-rated.
No, we'll be okay. We'll be okay.
So I'm going to tell you something about ducks.
Yeah.
It's something like the high 80s to 90% of duck sex is rape.
Oh. Oh, God.
What did you say?
Why would you tell us this?
Because it's the truth. And the more you know, no joke. No, it is, it's true. It is. But, yes, you in the back.
The PG is not great at all. God.
Dealer's room wasn't open yet, so I went and bought a wall store. Would you mind signing it after the panel?
Sure. Yeah, no problem. All right. What? Yes, you on this?
It'll be tough.
What's the strangest thing that's ever happened to you at a con?
Uh-oh. You don't remember.
I'm trying to think of like a really weird story. Okay, so it wasn't strange, but it was weird. But it was on my Facebook, so you guys probably already know about it. If you guys are watching me on Facebook, I went to ASEN and then I got in like at 1 a.m. When I got off the plane at 1 a.m., these like two people came and asked me to sign a bunch of autographs, but they were like glossy prints, like 8x10 prints of my character. There was like two stacks, and it was like, I like signed like over 40 of them, like so many. I was like so tired, and I thought they were with the convention. I was so confused, and I was like, "Oh, are you my ride?" They're like, "No, your ride's over there." And I was like, "Okay." And then I was like, "Wait, how did you know when I was landing?" And they're like, "We didn't. We've been here since 11 a.m. checking all the flights in from LA." And I was like, "Oh my God."
That's a stalker.
But then,
Oh, no.
after the convention, all of those autographs pop up on eBay. For like
I
around,
remember this on your Facebook.
yeah, like for like $50 a piece.
What?
And I just don't think it's cool. Also because I mean, whatever, I signed them, you know, they're allowed to do whatever they want with them because I signed them. But I felt like I was like a little bit kind of, felt like I was being tricked. But the other thing that's kind of not cool about them selling it is that like what they printed out is just images they got off the internet, right? So they don't have the right to reprint. Like that's something that a lot of people don't understand is that if you have an image or a drawing or you make a show, you can't just pull that image and start making cards. Do you know what I mean? It's just like I love, let's say, let's just do something easy, like Pokemon, right? I love Pikachu. I can't go on the internet and find a picture of Pikachu and then start mass producing it and, you know, and making greeting cards and just selling them because I don't own that image. You know, Pokemon USA owns that image. I would have to go to Pokemon USA and ask them, do I have the right to make this card to sell it? Like it's the same with merchandise. All the merchandise that you have is like if it's official versus bootleg. If it's official, that means they went to the company who owns the image to say, can I please use this image to make these products? And the company goes, okay, how much will you pay me for it? And they say, we'll pay you this much. Okay, good, yay, shake hands. And the company has to approve the image and the layout and everything. And then that's how business is done. You can't just go and just say like, oh, I'm gonna take a picture of, you know, Iron Man, you know what I mean? And like, just steal an image and start mass producing it and making my own, it's just not right. So the images that I signed were just like, stuff that they pulled off the internet, that they printed on paper, you know. And I was like, it's just not, it's not right. Like, it's kind of breaking the law, and I don't like to be a party to that. Let's see what other strange, one time very, very early on, I went to a convention and somebody mistaken, I don't know.
I think it's called
Mistook me for Tiffany Grant.
I'm trying to figure out how.
Yeah, I don't know. Do I look like a Grant? I mean, Tiffany sounds like Stephanie. Maybe they overheard somebody call me Stephanie and they heard Tiffany and they thought, oh, I was Tiffany Grant. I don't know. Anyways, it was very strange. And then there was one time I went to a convention and then I went swimming and I didn't have my contacts in. And then I went into the changing room.
Oh boy.
And
Oh boy.
I took a shower. And then I came out of the shower and I was walking towards the lockers and I was like, this is weird. This is not how I remembered the layout of this room being. And then in the distance, I see this like woman who's like topless because she just only has a towel around her waist. I was like, why is the woman just have a towel around her waist? Because I have very bad vision, very, very bad vision. Why is the lady having a towel around her waist that's like she's like, Nick, wait a minute. I think that's uh-oh.
A guy?
I'm in the men's locker room. I was there. It was like, yeah, it was, okay.
My bad.
Does someone have a question around here that hasn't asked? Yes, you on the side.
You worked with like Johnny Young Bosch in like a million different roles.
Worked for? Is that what you said?
Yeah. And you like co-directed with Liam O'Brien on like pretty much all the RE games. Do like directors in general look for who you have good chemistry with in voice acting and just like directing in general? Well, not directors with.
Oh, you mean when they cast and stuff like that?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Well, not really, because for anime, maybe for original animation, but for anime, we record separately. So the extent of the chemistry would be like if our voices go well together, you know, but we don't get to work with each other or off of each other. If I'm co-directing something, like Liam and I co-direct, if we're co-directing, it's generally, you generally want to pick a partner who you have similar aesthetic to. You know what I mean? Michael's so rich. Do you guys know Michael so rich?
Yeah. Oh.
Hold on, I gotta text him back.
Michael's dad on Kill la Kill.
Yeah, hold on. I'm in Tampa at a convention, not home till Sunday.
Send them a picture of your lovely camera.
For real.
Yeah.
Picture of us. Yes.
Here's a picture of
Can you freeze it? Hold on, okay, I'll send a picture. Take a photo. Okay. Oh no, I can't get all of you in. It's too wide, the aisle in the center. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay. He made me some split pea soup. He wanted to know if he could come by and drop off some split pea soup.
Technically he can, just nobody will be there.
My roommates will eat it. No, I like to cook, and then he likes to cook. So then sometimes what happens is like he has a family, like, you know, he's got wife and kids and everything. But like for me, I just have my roommates, and like my one roommate Marty never cooks, and all he eats is fast food. And then my other roommate Rana, she's like relatively new roommate, but she sometimes eats something. But like for me, when I cook, I'll just like, you know, like when you cook, you don't like really cook for I don't cook for like quantity of one person. Generally I cook and it like I could feed like 8 people, but then it's just me. And so they end up eating the same thing for like 2 weeks. So Rich and I sometimes, if I make a lot of something, I'll be like, hey, do you want such and such? And then he just, because he lives close by, he just comes over and then I give him Tupperwares full of stuff, and then vice versa. Like he'll just, hey, I have some split pea soup. You want some? He's a good cook. What was, well,
How does one apply to be your roommate? I mean, like for 4 people.
I don't know actually. Let's see, I should start taking applications. It'd be like, I should make you guys battle. Who can clean this toilet faster? Who is willing to take out the trash? Always no. You've been raising with your hand in the back for a long time.
So when you're voicing, do you get really animated? And if you do they like tell you not to get animated just to make stories?
I generally like to kind of emulate what the actors are doing, the characters are doing, right? So if they are in a position, a body position, I'll try to do the body position. Yes, you have to be very careful about making noise because you don't want it to pick up. You know, you don't want like all this stuff on the. So whenever you go into a session, you have to kind of make sure to wear clothes that don't make that much noise. Like, don't wear a windbreaker. You know, like because anytime you move your arms, it's gonna go right? Jewelry. Usually, you take off all your jewelry, or just don't wear jewelry to the session because you can't be like moving your head and go click, 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 like, you know, like, or on bracelets, like, or if you have sometimes really loud watches. I mean, nobody wears watches anymore, really, for real. But if you have like a really loud watch that is like the tick, 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 sometimes you can pick it up, like on the thing, it'll go tick, tick, tick. So that's, oh, he's freezing it. He's freezing it. I don't know if he can see this photo though, because he might have like an old phone.
Uh-oh.
He didn't comment on
The
the
lighting isn't great.
Huh? No, you guys look good. I'm just saying that it didn't go through as an iMessage, so that always makes me wonder what kind of phone they have. Like they could have like a kick-ass Samsung Android phone, or they could have a flip phone. Do you know what I mean? You just don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I finish that question? No. You in the back. Yeah.
What do you look for when you're doing casting calls, and how do you, what's your process for doing casting?
The first thing I look for is if the voice is right. And if it's something like anime, it has to do with a lot of like pitch and tone and whatever. So I usually do a first round when I listen to everything, and I don't even play it for very long. Because I know, like in the first 2-3 seconds, if that voice is right for my character. And then I kind of highlight all the ones that are within the acceptable category, and then I go back and then I listen to it, and then I listen to for performance. I listen for acting ability. I listen for if it matches the character. Yeah, various things, and then I'll make notes. And sometimes you'll be able to tell that the person is a good actor, but maybe they didn't make the right choices. Like they're too angry in this one scene, but it's because they don't know, they haven't seen it yet. They don't know what it's supposed to be, so they're making their best guess. But they did, whatever choice they made, they did it well, you know. Then sometimes you'll get people who are more closer to the character, but they're maybe not pulling it off well. And then another factor too is, have I worked with them before? If I've worked with them before and I've directed them before and I know that they can take direction well, if the audition doesn't match completely to the final product would be, there's more leeway because I have trust in that actor because I've worked with them before. If it's a new person, I might call them back. I might, you know, it also depends on how big the part is. Is the part going to have a lot of heavy lifting? Is the part going to be relatively kind of simple, you know, stuff like that. Let me see you in the hat.
This has always been a weird thing for me because on some anime releases you'll have your real name, but like when I watch Fate Stay Night, for instance, for Ilya, it's clearly by Jennifer Sekiguchi, despite the fact I know it's Stephanie Sheh.
Oh.
Is that a whole thing with union rights or something?
I cannot speak to other people. Sometimes there are various reasons that people use aliases. One of them can be a union thing, in which case I say to you guys, if you like the actor, I would respect their privacy. Basically, there is not a lot of money in anime dubbing. It's mostly because people don't buy the DVDs. Like that's the way that the companies make money is if they purchase the DVDs. Like the big head honcho people who would hire the studios to produce the anime, as long as a product is being licensed, they get money, right? But the department or the studio that does the dubbing or the studio that does the DVD production, they don't get any money if you buy a bag or a sword or a whatever. You know what I mean? So if there are fans out there who are not watching anime in legal ways, like if you're streaming off of a site that is licensed, like if you're watching from Crunchyroll, if you're watching from Netflix, then it's all good. If you're watching on television, it's all good. If you're watching from an official DVD, it's all good. But if you're going to some off-party site where you're watching it on an unofficial YouTube or on some other site, that site is making money from ads and stuff, but none of that money is going back to the original creators. And that's a kind of like a huge problem in the anime industry. And actually I've seen, you know, usually because of inflation and whatnot, you're supposed to make more money and things are supposed to go up and up and up and up. FYI, the SAG, the dubbing contract for SAG, since it was created, has never seen a raise. Since it was created. And SAG actors have talked about, well, should we try to fight for a raise? And people are just, most consensus is be like, well, why bother? If we ask for more money as a raise in SAG, it's just gonna all go non-union. You know, and a lot of going SAG is really important. They protect your rights, they help with the pension and health, you know, and health insurance and all that kind of stuff. So, so this is kind of like a long version of it. But ideally, we would like more anime to go union, but lots of times production companies can't afford it, or if it gets kind of complicated, so they don't. So as an actor, a lot of voice actors still want to work, and they might be in the union. If you're in the union, you're not allowed to do any non-union work. That's how the union has the power to say, you must pay the actors this. You must give the actors a break, you know, after X number of hours, you know. If you end up airing this show on TV, you know, 1 million times, then you have to give a little bit of that money back to the actor. Like there's all these rules that SAG does, and they do it to protect the actors because all of the SAG actors stand together and only do SAG projects. So if the producers want those good actors, then they have to go union. So if an actor does non-union work, it does hurt it a little bit. But on the other side, come on, the actors are just trying to make a living, and so they'll take the non-union work because they need the money and they don't want to not act, Or maybe they're newer in their careers and so they haven't joined SAG yet. There's all sorts of different reasons. But for some people, they may be in the union and they might be doing work that is non-union. They might use a different name. That might be one reason. Another reason might be that they're working on this project, and as they're working on the project, they don't think it's going to come out very well. So they don't want to put their name on the project, so then they change their name. That's like another possible reason. The reason I ended up using an alias my very first projects was because, as I explained before, I was producing. So I was producing, which means I was writing the scripts, I was hiring the director, I was like, my name is all over the back of the Footy Cootie DVDs, if I don't know if you've checked, but it's like all over it. And since I was starting out as a voice actor, I really didn't want people to think that I was just casting myself because I was producing. Because I had to audition. I had to compete against other people to get those parts, but I could very easily think that I wanted to be taken seriously as an actor, and I didn't want people to think, oh, well, she's producing the project, so of course she's putting herself in everything. So a way to work around that is like I came up with a different name for myself. And then like other people too, it's like, why do you have gamer tags? Do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of fun. Like some people might want to create a whole different persona. There might be situations where people want to protect their privacy. They want to do conventions, they want to do other stuff, but they don't want their family to be involved or their friends who know them personally to get sucked in or to be bothered by fans who might not have discretion. And that is definitely an issue. I know people who've like tried to friend relatives of actors because they try to get close to them, and have harassed them because they want to try to get close to them. So there can be a ton of different reasons for the aliases. That's why I just feel like whatever the reason is for the actor, I find that like I guess outing the actor is usually like not worth, I think, the reason that they're doing it for. So I feel like I would encourage people to not try to out actors, even though I know it's really cool to be like, oh, I can tell that this person is this voice and this person is this voice. And like already, like lots of times, like it's not always true. I just went on my IMDb today just to like look it up, and I was looking at all my aliases and stuff, and like half of them are not me, But it's a wiki, so I can't do anything about it. I'm not gonna contact them and say, hey, this one's not me, and this one's like whatever. I don't really care, but like half of them aren't me, So yeah, so there's a lot of different reasons. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
So for the union part, it's kind of like darned if you do, but darned if you don't either.
Well, with the union stuff, if you're in the union, you are not allowed to do non-union work. If you find out, you can get banished from the union. In which case, then good luck being a serious